Nelson Mandela, a name synonymous with hope and resilience. He stood tall against injustice. He championed the cause of equality and freedom. His journey was fraught with challenges and sacrifices, yet he remained unyielding. Mandela embodied resilience. He inspired millions with his unwavering spirit. His life teaches us that with courage, anything is possible. Even in the darkest times, Mandela's story reminds us of hope. We can overcome any obstacle with the will to persevere. His message of peace and forgiveness resonates deeply today. In a world often divided, Mandela's example lights the way to a better future. A future where equality prevails. A future where everyone can reach their full potential. Nelson Mandela was born in a small village in South Africa. He grew up during a time of great injustice. Black South Africans were treated as second-class citizens. They were denied basic rights. Mandela experienced this discrimination firsthand. It fueled his desire for change. Mandela was a bright and curious child. He excelled in school. He went on to study law. He believed that education was the key to empowerment. He wanted to use his knowledge to fight for the rights of his people. As a young man, Mandela became involved in politics. He joined the African National Congress, or ANC. The ANC was fighting against apartheid. Apartheid was a system of racial segregation and discrimination. Mandela rose through the ranks of the ANC. He became a key leader in the struggle for freedom. The ANC used peaceful protests to fight against apartheid. They organized marches and boycotts. The government responded with violence. Many ANC leaders and members were arrested. Mandela knew that peaceful resistance was not enough. Mandela became a key figure in the ANC's armed wing. This group was known as Umkhonto we Sizwe. They carried out acts of sabotage against government installations. They avoided harming civilians. Their goal was to disrupt the apartheid state. Mandela's bravery and commitment to the cause made him a target. In 1964, he and several other ANC leaders were arrested. They were charged with sabotage and other crimes. This trial became a pivotal moment in the fight against apartheid. It brought international attention to the injustices faced by Black South Africans. Nelson Mandela was sentenced to life in prison. He spent 27 years behind bars. The apartheid government hoped to silence him. They thought that prison would break his spirit. Instead, Mandela's imprisonment made him an even more powerful symbol of resistance. Mandela endured harsh conditions in prison. He was subjected to hard labor and solitary confinement. But he never lost hope. He continued to fight against apartheid from his cell. He used his time in prison to educate himself. He read extensively and corresponded with other activists. Mandela's imprisonment became a rallying cry for people around the world. They demanded his release and the end of apartheid. International pressure mounted on the South African government. This pressure played a significant role in Mandela's eventual release. After 27 long years, Nelson Mandela walked out of prison a free man. It was a momentous day for South Africa. It was a victory for the human spirit. Mandela's release marked the beginning of the end of apartheid. Mandela emerged from prison with a message of forgiveness and reconciliation. He called for a peaceful transition to democracy. He knew that revenge would only lead to more suffering. He believed that true justice could only be achieved through dialogue and understanding. Mandela's leadership was crucial in guiding South Africa through this turbulent period. He worked tirelessly to unite a nation divided by years of racial segregation and oppression. His unwavering belief in the goodness of humanity inspired millions both within South Africa and across the globe. In 1994, South Africa held its first multiracial elections. This was a historic moment. Black South Africans were finally able to vote. Nelson Mandela was elected as the country's first black president. This was a testament to his leadership and the people's trust in him. Mandela's presidency was marked by a spirit of forgiveness and reconciliation. He established the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. This commission investigated human rights abuses during apartheid. It gave victims a platform to share their stories. It also offered amnesty to perpetrators who were willing to confess their crimes. Mandela's government focused on healing the wounds of the past. It worked to build a more just and equitable society for all South Africans. He introduced policies to address poverty, inequality, and social injustice. He believed in the power of education. He saw it as a tool for empowerment and social change. He championed the cause of education throughout his presidency. Nelson Mandela's influence extended far beyond the borders of South Africa. He became a global icon. He was admired for his leadership. He was respected for his commitment to justice. He was loved for his message of peace and forgiveness. Mandela used his international platform to advocate for human rights. He spoke out against poverty, inequality, and injustice. He called for an end to conflicts around the world. Mandela believed in the power of dialogue. He believed that through understanding and compassion, we can build a better world. Mandela's message resonated with people from all walks of life. He inspired countless individuals to fight for what they believe in. He showed the world that even in the face of adversity, it is possible to overcome obstacles and achieve greatness. He taught us that true leadership lies in serving others and striving to make the world a better place. One of Mandela's most remarkable qualities was his capacity for forgiveness. After 27 years in prison, he harbored no bitterness towards his captors. He understood that forgiveness was not about condoning their actions. It was about freeing himself from the chains of hatred. Mandela believed that forgiveness was essential for healing the wounds of the past. He knew that without forgiveness, South Africa would remain trapped in a cycle of anger and resentment. His example of forgiveness set the tone for the country's transition to democracy. Mandela's commitment to forgiveness was not always easy. It required immense strength and courage. But he understood that forgiveness was the only way to break free from the past and build a better future. His example continues to inspire people around the world to seek reconciliation and understanding, even in the face of unimaginable pain and suffering. Nelson Mandela believed that education was the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. He saw education as a key to empowerment. He believed that it could break down barriers of poverty and inequality. Throughout his life, Mandela championed the cause of education. He believed that everyone should have the opportunity to learn and grow. He understood that education was essential for personal fulfillment. He knew that it was crucial for the development of a just and equitable society. Mandela's government made education a top priority. They invested heavily in building new schools and improving access to education for all South Africans. He understood that by investing in education, they were investing in the future of their nation. Nelson Mandela's legacy continues to inspire people around the world. He is remembered as a symbol of hope, courage, and resilience. His life story teaches us that anything is possible if we have the will to fight for what we believe in. Mandela's message of peace, forgiveness, and social justice remains as relevant today as it was during his lifetime. His example shows us that even in the face of adversity, we can choose to respond with compassion and understanding. Mandela's life is a testament to the power of the human spirit. He showed us that one person can make a difference. He taught us that we all have the power to create positive change in the world. Section 11, a call to action. Nelson Mandela's life is a call to action. It is a reminder that we all have a responsibility to fight for justice and equality. We must never take our freedom for granted. We must always be willing to stand up for what is right. Mandela's legacy challenges us to be better. It challenges us to be more compassionate, more forgiving, and more committed to building a better world for all. We can honor his memory by living up to his ideals. Let us all strive to live our lives with the same courage, determination, and compassion that Nelson Mandela embodied. Let us create a world where everyone has the opportunity to reach their full potential. Let us build a world that is worthy of his legacy.